Hi, I've just come on with these beautiful cards to bring you a self-care reading. But I also just wanted to mention that we do have this fantastic tool, whether it's tarot or oracle. All the spreads that I share here can be used with both. Or if you don't have cards, it's something you can do just by sort of meditating and tapping into yourself. The main thing here is to become a little bit more self-aware of how we are and what our needs are. Sometimes we get so busy in life, we just run through it, perhaps caring for other people or, getting on the treadmill of work and all the chores and the 101 things that we have to do. And we don't actually take care of ourselves, our physical being, mental being, and energetic being. And then life becomes too much. And that's when we sort of have a breakdown in energy. That may mean that physically we don't feel good, or mentally or energetically we get too drained. So, tarot is a great tool to tap into yourself, to ask yourself, what do you need? What steps can you take? How can you better certain things in your life? You don't need fancy cards, or like me, 50 packs of cards or different. You just need, 5 minutes sometimes to ground yourself and to check in with yourself to see how you are, and maybe a journal, pen and paper, just to note the progress. So let me just, sorry, I've got my phone up a little bit. But so, first of all, so tarot for self-care. So it's really nice to be able to sort of keep a bit of a journal and to keep tabs on how you're feeling, your progress, and the steps you need to take. So, first of all, as a collective reading, we can just ask ourselves, what do you need right now for your self care? What do you need in your life right now for whenever you watch this for your self care? Okay, and so this card I feel comes in to say that you just need to take some time to smell the roses. We have the roses here, and she's having a cup of tea. And it just feels like, it's time to slow down, to ground yourself, to practice the pause. It's been a very chaotic time. This reading is actually done just after the new year, so it's been a lot of hype leading up to Christmas and, whatever celebrations, family things, shopping, whatever it's been. Or even if you're not involved in all of the preparations, sometimes it's just a difficult time for us all to go through, for it, all the emotions that it brings up. So I feel like taking a breath. So I feel this card is saying, what do you need right now for your self-care? Is a little bit of self-assessment, which is something I'm also going to put into the podcast recording next week, week 2, about a assessment and how to do it. But right now it just feels you need to slow down, ground yourself, ground into your energy just with your breath, breathing in and connecting your chakras all the way down to Mother Earth and slowing down, having a little look at your emotions. Where are you right now? How are you feeling? And just going into yourself a little bit for that rest, for the pause. Even if you don't need this emotional sort of what do you call it, MOT, what you may just need is just a pause to just think, oh, I'm exhausted. Just let me call my energy back. Let me just get myself back together after New Year's Eve, after all these things I've been doing. Let me just breathe into myself, take a pause, take a moment to be me, to see who I am right now. And then we ask ourselves what we can then ask ourselves. You can invent your own questions, from this card. Maybe you'll say, okay, well, where do I need to do that in my life? You can add to your um, reading. Okay, so I'm just going to say now, what do you need to stop? What do you need to stop for your self care? This is the mental, energetic, and physical. What do you need to stop? Okay, maybe this is you need to stop overthinking things. This again perhaps is a card where you need to ground yourself. when we ground ourselves and connect deeply with the divine feminine, with Mother Earth, we experience the memory of oneness, of this connection that we all have. We're all in this together, we're all connected. And Mother Earth rises up to support us and love us. And sometimes we could just stop worrying about where we're going, what we're doing, how's it going to work, how we're going to get there, and your wheels of your mind, getting a little bit tangled up. So it just seems, just trust in the mechanisms of life, of the way life is going. The Wheel of Fortune is perhaps about also just letting go and trusting the next step. So it just feels like, what do you need to stop overthinking and wearing your mind and energy out? Where do I need better boundaries? So again, in this little podcasty thing that I'm doing, I will be talking about healthy boundaries, and I have a free worksheet or booklet, workbook, that I will be putting out in a couple of weeks. That will be really good. It's really interesting. And where do I need better boundaries? Okay, it just feels that you need better boundaries over um I feel this is perhaps internal thinking, better boundaries for yourself. So sometimes boundaries come in that we need better boundaries from other people. But at the moment, it just feels like perhaps, again, this is going back to the wheel of our minds. We actually need better boundaries within ourselves, with our self awareness of our thoughts, our mind control, because we may be thinking about the hurt and the pain and the wounds that we've had or that we're experiencing. And sometimes, yes, it's good to feel into them, to journal about them, to remove them, to see, to acknowledge. But sometimes we have to break that thought to let go of them, because if not, again, sort of going back to the Wheel of Fortune, if we keep thinking about a hurt, a wound, even though this is easy to say sometimes, but if we keep thinking about the hurt and the wound, we're sort of attached to it, and the wheel of life won't go forward. So if you're constantly thinking about your ex, or you're constantly thinking about something that's happened in the past, it's hard for your energy to go forward. So the better boundaries perhaps come in for you and your thoughts, because they're creating perhaps slowing down your process ahead, okay, your progress ahead. How can I recharge? Again, this card sort of comes back to the first card. How do I recharge? This is sort of making sure you're nourishing yourself, letting go of some of your thoughts and being in the moment, being mindful. This reminds me of what I was saying on the recording about, when I was watering the garden, it wasn't something that I wanted to do or had time to. So I came back to the moment, and just enjoyed the moment, smelled the roses and whatever. So, this card I feel is, how do you recharge? That's being a little bit more mindful. Also, I feel I'm really drawn to this, the feeling of peace. So it's like, how do you recharge? Do something that feeds your soul, that brings you peace. Make time for yourself. Make time for yourself. What limitations should I know? I mean, these questions, I've got a list of these sort of self-care questions. So you can add, as I say, to them. This is just an example, a collective sort of reading. But, so what limitations should I know? The limitations, I don't feel that there are any at the moment. This is the magician. The magician has everything they need to do everything. So I feel like saying, there isn't any limitations, only the ones that we place on ourselves if we don't take notice of this. So that means to me, sort of saying, if you're taking care of your needs, you're practicing the pause, you're nurturing yourself, you're bringing some joy to your life, you're not clinging on to the past and overthinking things, you're grounded and connected, then you have all it takes to do absolutely everything. There are no limitations. The world is your oyster. And that feels really fantastic. So I hope you've enjoyed this. And as I say, we will be covering more things in the tarot class and the oracle class and in the readings that I share within Patreon. If you would like to join Patreon for these readings, you can join for free, or you can support my work for as little as £5 a month. So that will be lovely. And we will be talking more about tarot and oracle for self-care. So many blessings. This is lovely. And I just, because I love cards, there's always another one. Ace of Wands. It just feels like this is the start of a new story. And perhaps implementing these elements of self-care into your life. It's the start of a new story where you bloom. So that's lovely. Anyway, many blessings. Please pop into the membership or the Patreon page. You can join. It's called Moon Healing and Divination. The links are all over the place on my social media. If not, just message me, Selena Joy Lovett. I've got the website, selenajoylovett.com, and come into the group. We do some free readings, but there's also the paid tier one where there's lots of different readings, mudras, meditations, and we are going to be working through lots of self-care tips. Okay, many blessings.